Central Maine Power could face fines and even give up profits after the Public Utilities Commission says it's failing to follow the rules for utility companies in Maine. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills. Lee Goldberg is off tonight. State regulators say they are increasingly concerned about issues with Central Maine Power's billing and customer service procedures. Chris Costa has an in-depth look. And Chris, this is all stemming from a letter sent today from the Public Utilities Commission.
Lindsay, here's the letter from Derek Davidson. He's the Director of Consumer Assistance and Safety Division for the PUC. Now, he lists three major concerns. The first one being new and existing customers are not receiving their monthly bills. He wrote in this letter that there was a significant increase in the number of customers not receiving a bill in December. He writes, after a full year of working with the new Smart Care system, the number of customers not receiving bills should be decreasing, not increasing. The second concern, Davidson writes that CMP is not referring areage management program participants to the Efficiency Maine Trust. It's people who need financial assistance with paying their electric bills, and they haven't been sending them those enrollees to the program since November 1st of 2017. And now they're saying there are about 300 backlogged forms that are waiting to be processed. Davidson claims that the vast majority of those participants that enrolled after November 1st, 2017 have not benefited from any of the programs the trust offers for help repaying their bills. And the third big concern, the time that Central Maine Power has taken to address customer complaints and contact them is, quote, clearly insufficient. He says CMP's specialized team has failed to reach and resolve more than 1,000 customers' complaints referred to it by his division. He says the PUC even granted Central Maine Power more time to respond to each customer's complaint, and he says there has not been an obvious improvement in the team's performance. Davidson wrote that he strongly urges CMP to fix the problems, otherwise they could be subject to multiple sanctions, including imposing administrative penalties of up to $500,000, holding the company in contempt for failing to comply with rules, and requiring them to give up profits or revenues during the time of the violations. We asked Maine's public advocate Barry Hobbins about what the next steps are.
What it demonstrates to me is that they have heard the complaints. It's encouraging to me as the public advocate that they are taking action. You know that CMP will listen and will take action.
Hobbins says he believes Central Maine Power will take the appropriate actions to fix these problems. A spokesperson for CMP says they have seen the letter and intend to respond. Lindsay.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Well, didn't we love it outside yesterday? But today the struggle was real, Keith, because all that melting happened yesterday and then it turned to ice, making for a slippery situation.
It did. It refreezed a bit, although at least we got into the mid-30s here in the afternoon along the coastline at 35, 31 in Augusta, 30 in Waterville. Had some good sun early, so it made it feel relatively nice. But yeah, we lost a ton of degrees since yesterday. Here are the current temperatures: 30 in Portland, 29 in Bangor, 34 in Berlin. And so as this round of snow moves in tonight, temperatures are going to be right on the line. So we will do a little mixing, I think, especially over southern Maine. Here it comes. It's not a big storm system. It's a little impulse of energy, not a nor'easter, not even really a clipper. It just has a little baggy low out here. So as it moves in, you can see what you see is what you get. It's a couple of hours of decent snow, some sleet in there, and a little rain shower activity as well. A little snake area of snow showers has worked its way into Greenville and the mountains. They'll pick up the most from this storm, even though that amount won't be all that high. So the timing is actually not that bad on this storm because it got a little bit faster, and that's good because 9, 10 o'clock it's snowing here into the mid-coast, 10, 11 o'clock, 1 or 2 it's snowing pretty much statewide, but look how quickly this starts to dry up such that by the time most people at least have their morning commute tomorrow, the snow will be gone. Guys, talking about a couple inches of snow, but maybe a bigger storm next week. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
All right, Keith, thanks. Ask Now, a tax filing holdup in Maine. We heard from 2 viewers who since the start of the month have been trying to access the state's fast filing form online. It's the 1040I file. Carrie writes in part, I don't understand what the problem is. It's always been up and running by the end of January. Can you find out why the delay this is happening this year and if we should just file a paper return instead of waiting? And Richard writes, I am trying to help my daughter Samantha file her income taxes in Maine, but the system is still not open. Can you look into it? So this morning, if you logged on to the Maine Revenue Service's website, you saw this screen. It says check back. Now, if you look at the website, you'll see there is a link to iFile your 2018 return, so it appears to be back up and running. We reached out to the Department of Administrative and Financial Services. We heard back from David Heydrich Jr. He's the Director of Communications. He says the delay in availability is connected to the Maine legislature's late adoption of tax conformity to the Federal Internal Revenue Code last year. He says 23,000 tax returns were filed using iFile last year, just over 3% of all tax returns filed in Maine during that time.
Governor Janet Mills has signed an executive order aimed at helping the state deal with the opioid epidemic. Her order today calls for making the overdose antidote naloxone more widely available, as well as logging and mapping overdoses to track hotspots in real time and implementing medication-assisted therapy programs, plus creating targeted prevention programs. More than 1,600 people have died in Maine from drug overdoses over the past 5 years. More on that plan coming up on News Center Maine at 6 p.m. The state has dropped the rest of the complaints in a case of a Lewiston oral surgeon who was under investigation for nearly 3 years after patients accused him of malpractice. The state dropped 13 remaining complaints against Dr. Jan Kipax. In 2017, the Maine Board of Dental Practice began investigating complaints that the oral surgeon ignored patients' pain and pulled the wrong teeth, among other things. The state could not prove that any of those allegations were true. After the board heard from 5 patients, the state eventually dropped the majority of the accusations. Now, the state has dismissed the rest. In
a statement, a lawyer for Kipax wrote, these cases and the tremendously public manner in which rumor and innuendo were spread by suborned by the board's executive director demonstrate the importance of due process and serve as a stark example of why licensing boards, attorneys general, members of the media, and all of us should never shoot first and ask questions later. Unfortunately, that rush to judgment and character assassination is exactly what happened here. Dr. Kipax is now back to practicing as an oral surgeon. Well, it appears more families are using Airbnbs for ski trips, and it's paying off for local hosts by the millions.
And what you should know about a brand of canned dog food that has recently been recalled. Cameron O'Brien has the answers.
I stumbled through that script. I'm so sorry.
I stumbled through mine.
Hi guys,
too.
What's going on? I do have to go check one thing. I got to figure out why the start of the show didn't work so good. No, I just checked my my Edius project too, and it had pad and it was fine. I thought maybe I hit like an out point on the timeline, so it would only export without pad, but I didn't. It's perfectly fine. So I have no idea what happened.
We will make sure he gets it. That's probably the best way to do it. Ask now at newscentermaine.com. You email us.
Sweet. We're starting in the newsroom for our next segment. How's everybody doing today?
Hi, Kimberly. I'm not John. Actually, John works for a different station. My name's Chris Costa. But that's okay. We appreciate it. Yes. Oh, they can't? And Isaac says I'm better like you. So they can't.
I got a question from Heidi.
Oh, right. Heidi says, do you already air your segment on the CMP Hydro-Quebec power lines?
Power lines. It is not about the power lines. It's about something else entirely.
Yeah. So what Chris just said, if you couldn't hear him,
and the customer service issues.
Yes.
Can I hear you?
Yes.
Okay.
What mic do you have, Chris?
I have the weather mic. Yeah. How about now? Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are you sure you have the weather mic?
Yep. It's the emergency weather. Leave upstairs. Okay. Okay.
It's a lot.
Well, we can come back in a little bit and figure it out. Yep. Heidi, we're not talking about the power lines. We're actually talking about the billing and customer service issues.
Stand by.
Thanks. I can't hear.
The Vatican is clarifying comments by Pope Francis about a case of what he called sexual slavery within a French congregation of nuns, saying he was referring to an abuse of power that was reflected in instances of sexual abuse. Francis cited the case when responding to a question about the sexual abuse of nuns by clergy. He made the comment during a press conference Tuesday returning home from the United Arab Emirates. A Vatican spokesman said Francis spoke of sexual slavery to mean manipulation or a type of abuse of power that is reflected in a sexual abuse.
Maine's Airbnb hosts are seeing numbers spike this ski season, and according to the short-term rental company, they're expected to earn more than $5 million in extra income this winter. In western Maine alone, the company reports there is a 158% increase in Airbnb users. The top 5 most popular places in Maine for winter: Portland, Newry, Bethel, Kingfield, and Bridgeton. Cities like Bar Harbor and South Portland have established rules about how to regulate these short-term rentals.
All right, you ever wish you could take back 5 seconds and delete that message you just sent? Well, Facebook is hearing you, and now it is doing something about it. On the Messenger app, you can now delete your message to one person or a group. You tap on the message you want to remove, select the option to remove for everyone, and then a message alerting others it's been removed will pop up. You will have 10 minutes to do this once you hit send on the message.
I know a lot of people are feeling very thankful to have that feature now. All right, parents, they can be distracted by their phones too. It's a serious issue, but do their children have the solution?
And we're checking back in with Keith Carson, who's got a full look at the forecast coming up.
Facebook steals a lot of features from Snapchat.
We need an Ask Now open, I think.
Yeah, that would be great.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry guys. Let's try this again because I know the mic was. Did you get it now, Liam? Is that any better?
Yeah, it's mic 7.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome. You guys can hear me now. So let's go back to the beginning. Kimberly. Sorry, I am Chris, not John. John works for a different station. Let's see.
Is that the sound of going back?
Yeah, that's me going backwards.
That's the sound of growing
Everybody
up.
wants to let me know that I got Lee's old mic, basically. Okay.
Someone asked you how
Thanks,
your
Joe.
time
Thank
in
you,
Georgia
Joe,
was.
for chiming in.
Oh yeah, Paul wants to know how you enjoyed your time down in Georgia.
Paul, it was awesome. Oh, it was really cool, and it was finally got warm by the end of it, so we got a little bit of taste of the hot Lanta that everybody was joking about. Okay.
I get a white balance.
Got it. Got it. No, it was really
Yeah,
cool, and it was great to watch the
Yeah.
Patriots win too. That was awesome. Being on the field, the confetti coming down, really fun experience. I'm glad I got to go.
Yeah.
Yo, this pet food thing is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
terrifying.
So have you guys heard about this? It's a brand of pet food that
Yeah.
potentially has elevated levels of vitamin D
A
in it.
prescription brand of pet food,
Yes,
right?
the science, it's
Right.
Hill's Pet Food, both their prescription and regular Science Diet brands.
But it's
Okay.
bad because a lot of pets are getting sick and some are even dying,
yeah.
because of it. And so now there's a big recall.
Yep.
And you're going to get into what everybody needs to know here in a minute.
Yep.
That's
Girl, the cats are fine. We okay. Yep, it's just a dog.
Okay.
Trust me, I was about to start cooking for mine. Yeah.
So Jess Gagne just came
Just
in.
like came
and-
out.
Jess Gagne was
the-
concerned because
Yeah.
she feeds her cat that brand of food, and
I do too.
and
So
Cam
cats
does
are
too.
okay?
Cats are okay. Dog dry food is okay, and all
It's the
treats are
canned.
okay. It is 25 of their canned dog food.
It's like the wet food?
Yep.
Huh. Interesting.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay, stand by. We out on 9.
Okay. Standing by. Okay, pet parents, listen up because this is important. Hill's Pet Nutrition is recalling select canned food products for potentially elevated levels of vitamin D.
The pet food maker's social media pages are covered with comments from pet parents who say their dogs have been impacted. Cameron O'Brien has been looking into this for us all day. And Cam, what are you finding?
Yeah, so this is a canned dog food recall, and it began January 31st. 25 of the prescription diet and science diet canned dog food products are being impacted, and the problem is potentially toxic levels of vitamin D. So check this out. Hill says that they confirmed the levels of vitamin D as a result of a supplier error after getting a report of a dog in the U.S. being sick from these experiences eating their food. So what does it all look like? Vitamin D toxicity may show signs like vomiting, drooling, increased thirst, increased urination, decreased appetite, and weight loss. And if it gets really bad, it can lead to renal failure and death. And the affected cans of dog food were sold through retailers and vet clinics nationwide. Now, Hill says they've identified and isolated the error and have implemented quality testing. And it's only for the canned dog food. That means dry food for cats and dogs and treats are not impacted. But you know what? That's just not enough for a lot of parents on the internet. Check out social media right now. Hill's Pet Nutrition has about 500 comments, some 4,000 shares. Stories like this one from parents that are just so devastated. They believe that their pets were sickened by this food, and some of them eventually died. And these parents paying tens of thousands of dollars on medical bills after being told by their veterinarians to feed their animals this food. So there is a lot of hurt, there's a lot of anguish, and people are asking Hills for answers, and they're not responding in the way that people are liking. So I called Hill's Pet Nutrition earlier today to see if they would be able to give us comment, and they promised that they would do so. However, they didn't get back to me before 5 o'clock. Now, Hill says that parents who are experiencing any of the symptoms that I mentioned, any of that vomiting, the nausea, things like that, see it in your dog, take the dog to the veterinarian. Also, if you've purchased products like these that have specific lot dates and codes, stop feeding your pet that food immediately. Throw it out if it's open, and if it's not, take it to the store for a refund. So I'm going to jump in the comments right after this, and I'm going to put the link for you in the comments so that you'll be able to take a look and see if any of the food that you feed your pet is impacted, because this is important, y'all, for sure.
Cam, thanks. A lot of people definitely asking about this on our Facebook live stream and YouTube live streams as well. I saw a lot of small dogs that seem to be impacted by that. A lot of pictures of Chihuahuas, and I caught a little Tito. I know,
Tito,
man.
you gotta be careful.
He was struggling on the ice today, big time.
Well, he's
The icy
minus a leg,
sidewalks.
and he does a great job with it. But for stability, it makes it a little bit
It
harder.
does. It's an added challenge.
Pat and I talked about this the other day, how water on ice, like melted water on ice, has to be the least friction of anything on the planet.
It's
Like
true.
you just slide right off that,
It's
no matter
true.
what. We're gonna add some snow to that. Actually, that's better.
Oh, great.
I'd rather walk on snow on the sidewalk
little
more
than
traction.
than ice.
Yeah.
Now, if it's light snow and there's ice under it, then you're dead.
Yeah.
That's it. 30 for a temperature in Portland right now, 30 in Augusta, way down obviously from yesterday. But this is an interesting graphic, 24-hour temperature change. So it is 27 degrees cooler in Portland at this time than it was at this time yesterday. Of course, we had record highs yesterday, but most of us about 20 or 25 degrees cooler than we were this time yesterday. So a big precipitous fall. Here's a look at the radar. Here's our little storm system, as I mentioned. It's compact. It's not dynamic in nature. It doesn't have much coastal moisture to work with. So it's just going to be this slug of precipitation moving in tonight and early tomorrow morning, and then it's out for most of us for the morning commute. Snow showers starting to work their way into the mountains already. They'll probably get the highest amounts from the storm, and they'll be happy about it because they had a tough little stretch there with the warmth and then some rain possible on Friday. So here we go. Snow's moving in 9, 10 o'clock at night. 11, it's almost into the mid-coast here, and then overspreads the whole state midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m. But it's very quick to move out. So by tomorrow morning, when most of us get going, we'll be down to snow showers, if that. The event pretty much done. The rest of the day is cloudy but warming. Temperatures in the upper 30s by the afternoon, staying mild overnight Thursday into the warm sector on Friday. Friday's an interesting day with a little freezing rain in the mountains, but most of us will be looking at just plain rain showers and temperatures popping to around 50 by Friday afternoon. So we could have a brief period of nice weather there Friday afternoon, back to reality again on Saturday. So we didn't want to get too cute with this map. I think 1 to 3 for most of us is going to cover it. There will be some mountains that could pick up 4 inches, but I think this is going to get 95% of us in the right zone, and there will be some mixing with some sleet and some rain over York County, perhaps in the southern parts of Cumberland County. So that storm bores me. The weekend is relatively quiet as well. It's colder. The thing I'm watching is next week. Good little signal here for Wednesday, right before Valentine's Day here, of what could be a compact, legitimate nor'easter. But we haven't had really any of the all snow, like sexy nor'easters yet. So we'll see if we can get one next week. Still have time. We'll see. Oh, by the way, 4th warmest year on record this year, since records were kept. This is globally since the 1800s, and 9 of the 10 warmest years on record are since 2005. It's probably fine. I wouldn't worry about it at all. So meanwhile, cold this weekend, and again, we're watching that storm on Wednesday. I would pencil in something on Wednesday. The question is, does it devolve into what we've seen all winter, which is a mess of, oh, it's snow and it's rain and some sleet, or is it purely snow? It's not going to be sunny on Wednesday. So those are kind of your options.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, boy,
I love how you
driving
just
sounds
added
fun.
that.
Yeah, nothing to worry about. It's like
You
that.
snuck that right
It's that
in,
gift
yeah.
with the house on fire. Everything's fine.
It's
It's
dog.
No big
It's all good.
deal.
Just going to leave this right here. Walk away.
All right. Thanks, Keith, I guess. Parents, do you ever feel like you're distracted by your phone so much that you're not paying attention to your kid? This is actually an issue. Kids feel like they have to compete with the technology their parents use for their parents' attention.
So a group of parents brought their children ages 6 through 12 to our sister station in St. Louis to spill the beans, and let's see how it went.
My mommy's always on her phone. My dad texts and drives when he's driving.
They're on a call and you try to get their attention and then they yell at you.
My mommy just texted out her phone last night. I went and say hello, but she didn't even answer me. I sneak into their wherever they are, and I keep tapping them until they come where I keep saying mommy and daddy until they listen to me. And sometimes when they're calling, they look at me and do this. It makes me feel sad because they're ignoring me, and I don't like when they ignore me, so.
What are your reactions? I mean, are you guys surprised to hear them say this?
It's definitely to some extent expected because, you know, I mean, Cooper, you did a good job saying that we do use our phones sometimes for work. And it's tough for a kiddo to understand the balance between when you're using it for work versus when you're using it for fun.
When you try to see it through their eyes, you get it. And so then you try to be respectful in your own way. And what we do is we just take the phone and turn it down. So I know we're all together. You know, if the phone's up, you want to glimpse at it. You want to glance. You want to see what's going on. I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss anything. Just turn it down. It'll be there when you're done.
I don't take calls before 8 o'clock. Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's an emergency. You text me, and then I'll address it from there. The morning has to start. I want to make sure they're smooth. I want to make sure they've transitioned well, and then I start my day.
Hearing that it makes them sad, of course that has impact. I mean,
Sure.
it's my New Year's resolution to turn off all notifications. And it's tough, but it's helping for sure.
We try to teach, we try to do the things we're supposed to do, we try to tell them the right things, but then just hearing it from their side is important.
And from our perspective, for the old people, it's good to hear too how it evolves and maybe how we need to tweak and change and evolve along the way.
So we're pretty sure what happened there was the kids were interviewed beforehand separately away from their parents, and then they all got together and watched the children's responses to those interview questions with the parents. So you were seeing the reaction and the answers to those interview questions side by side.
I really liked the one mom's approach where it's like, okay, I'm not going to answer a phone call before 8 a.m. If it's an emergency, text me. And I like that because I've heard two things recently. One was a report that millennials, okay, here we are less likely to log hours that they work outside of work, answering a text message or an email or something like that. But I also saw something else go across my Facebook feed that said parents are expected to parent like they don't work and work like they don't have kids.
Oh.
And I think that's really telling. And I think that's interesting in this case too, because you're at home sending those little extra emails when you don't think about it. Yeah, 1 second. So I think it kind of all adds up.
For sure. That's I'm gonna remember that. That's interesting. All right, a lot more coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. Cindy Williams is here with a preview. Hey, Cindy.
Hi, guys. A really grisly discovery in the Conway, New Hampshire sewer system. Officials there are trying to figure out what the human remains they found in the system are, be it a fetus or an infant. An autopsy is underway. They're trying to find the mom. We've got the latest on the investigation. And for many parts of Maine, finding affordable housing is a real problem. They're changing some zoning to make room for those tiny little houses, but as you can imagine, some neighborhoods are not very excited about this. So those stories and more ahead at 5:30. Back to you.
Cindy, thanks so much. Our latest That's So Maine moment that caught our attention when we come back. That's interesting. So the quote was, parents are expected to work like they don't have kids and raise kids like they don't have to work?
Yes.
Did I reverse it?
Yeah, no, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Parents are expected to work like they don't have kids and raise kids like they don't have to work.
Yeah.
That thing is interesting, seriously.
That is, yeah.
There are a lot of demands on people's time nowadays. I mean, and you know, I mean, shoot, with extracurriculars and stuff like that, I bet you guys feel that. You got to drive your kid to every music practice and soccer practice and so on and so forth, and hang out with their friends and make them lunch and so on and so forth. And it's like, wow, like how much more can I do as a parent when I already work at least 40-hour-a-week job? I know there's a lot of you out there who work way more than that.
Rachel says she's on her phone a total of 4 hours the entire week. That's really good.
You know what helped me?
What?
And I will be honest, I don't know if Android has this feature. I'm sure that it does, but the latest Apple iPhone update has a screen time calculator.
Oh, yeah.
It tells you how much screen time you spent each week.
You know what's funny about that? Instagram has a feature too where you can set time limits.
Yeah.
And I set one for myself because I think I spend a lot of time on Instagram when I'm like waiting for things to load and whatever. And I set a limit every day, and I reach that limit every day, and then when I reach it, I'm done.
I know.
It's crazy.
I'm kind of the same way. I use they have downtime. It's called downtime. And so every night at 8 o'clock, my phone like shuts itself off, and so all the different apps, you know, like Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth, on my personal phone.
On your personal phone, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to work.
We have a That's So Maine, and then we're getting into the drops.
No, we're talking to our Facebook live stream. Do you want to come say hello?
Not really.
Okay. He said not really.
Where'd Lee go? He was here earlier.
Lee had
got some sick family members.
Yeah. This is so cute.
Are we having a nerd conversation right now?
That's what usually only occurs just over there.
The nerve.
Keep it in the wall.
Would you like to start the That's So Maine?
Sure.
It's just this right here.
This looks digitally animated. Like this looks fake.
Like doctored.
This doesn't look real.
I think it is.
All right, it's time for our That's So Maine moment of the day. Steph from Auburn says, who doesn't love a snowman? I found the answer to that question. Even though he watched me build this snowman in our yard, when I brought Barker over to meet him, he was not impressed.
A great post from Melissa Cohen. Check out. Oh, we don't have this one. Never mind. So this is really cute. It has us talking, though. Do we think this photo is real or fake?
I think it's real. I can't tell.
I don't know if Tito would stand still long enough to do this.
Well, just because your dog's a jerk doesn't mean it's not possible. Okay, it is very possible. I think it's real. I don't think managers are too big into the photoshopping fake photos.
That's true.
Okay, so yesterday we talked about how rare it was to get to 60 degrees.
Okay.
Right.
Well, somebody asked me a good question about, can you do the same breakdown for extreme cold in February? And I said, yes, I would love to look into statistics. So here we go. We're going to start with Bangor first. So 5 degrees or lower at some point in February, 81% of the time. No surprise there, right? 10% or lower, 61% of the time.
Sorry, go ahead.
61% of the years, there's at least one point in February you get this cold. And with 20 below or lower, it's only 10%, even in Bangor. Now let's go to Portland because you'll see a huge change there. 5 degrees or lower, only 48% of the time. 28% of the time for 10, and then minus 20 or lower is very rarefied air. It only happens 3% of your Februaries. And so obviously you're seeing the marine versus coastal and the latitude involved. But I think a lot of people will be surprised that 10 below or lower is less than half no matter where you are in Maine. You go through years without it happening.
Huh.
Okay.
Interesting.
Very
Well, there you
interesting.
go. All your,
like those
your
questions.
cold questions answered.
Exactly. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now. Awesome.
Cool.
Bye, guys. Thanks for weighing in.
We're going to keep that on, and we're going to bring those down.